in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against, carried. Now we're coming to our public forum, and we've got 3 people submitting at our public forum. Charlie Wilson and Sydney Kua, who are doing a presentation on their hip hop New Zealand Dance Championships. Then we've got Halswell Residents Association doing an update on 2 issues. And then we've got Ross Holliston, who's coming in to present feedback on the Halswell Junction Road extension. So if the 2 young women come to the table, please. At the end, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. And if you say who in fact you are, I'm Helen Broughton, I'm chairperson of the board. I've got 2 advisors beside me and the rest are board members. So we're probably best not to waste time going around, but if you'd like to say who you are and what you've come to us about.
I'm Sydney and I've come to talk about our experience from HHI and how grateful we are for the money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Charlie and I've also come to talk about our experience at HHI. And
thank you. Thank you. So I can give you 5 minutes to speak at the most, and then a few questions. So go ahead, the floor's yours.
So even though we didn't really place at HHI, we're just really happy that we got to go for experience and for so we can get influenced by the really good dancers there.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a really cool opportunity for us to go, and it inspired us a lot, and now we're working on getting ourselves to top level.
Good, thank you very much. So I've got any questions?
We do have a presentation.
Oh, you have a presentation.
Share the screen.
Andre's on Zoom, is that correct?
Sorry.
And just make sure it's all right.
That's correct.
Hi. So we've got Andre Moore on Zoom. So any further comment, or open the board members to ask any questions? And I just have to watch the time.
That's awesome.
Sarah.
Yeah, it was really amazing. How long have you guys been
I've been dancing for almost 7 years.
Wow.
And this is my only year this year dancing.
Wow.
Thank you.
Very talented. Yeah.
Thank you, Marie.
That was very good. This is good. Are you part of a dance school dance group here, or is this your private group?
Well, it's kind of an independent studio, so we dance for someone. It's not really like a professional, like not really well known, but we're getting there.
All right.
Well, thank you both for coming back in. It's really good to hear how people have found their experience. So we really appreciate you coming back in. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Good
you.
to get the feedback. Yeah.
Yes, so, and I'm sorry, we are pushed for time. Thank you, girls. Thank you. Now, David Hawke from the Halswell Resident Association, you've got two issues. The Creamery Pond one is one that we haven't been overly acquainted with.
Right.
I'll let you choose which one you start with.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So Tēnā koutou. I'm David Hawke, as Helen has just said. So I'm Secretary of Halswell Residents Association. Normally I'd have either John Bennett or Adele Gerards with me, but they can't be here today. So as Helen said, we've got two topics. I thought we'd start with the short one, which is just a brief update on the Halswell Mātai installation at Te Hapua. So Bailey Peterson, who you will all know, has been working with Kiri Jardin, who's Principal Art Advisor at City Council, and we've actually now got a timeline of 2 years for our Mātai installation at Te Hapua. And the carver, Fane Robinson, who again, some of you will know, he's happy with that timeline. Kiri, Fane and I went to the Quaifs Road storage area where we've got a whole lot of the Mātai in storage, and Fane selected the pieces that he wants to work with. And the next step is for that material to actually be transported to Fane's workshop, which is at Wood End. So Bailey is going to be working on that with City Care Property. And we've also got a funding timeline. Now, one of the reasons I brought this to you today is that at some point, there's a chance that we will be coming to the board for some funding to help pay for that. It's still a wee way off, but just to sort of get you used to the idea, I guess.
Thank you.
So secondly, question of Creamery Ponds. So for those of you who don't know Creamery Ponds, it's a part of the stormwater management system. It's on the southern side of Quaifs Road, so on the southern side of the urban limit, at the Savies Road end. And it sort of abuts up with Candies Road. So that sort of southeast corner of the development in Halswell. So back on the 26th of April, we emailed community board staff regarding issues at Creamery Ponds with folk fishing there and letting their dogs go swim. So we've not heard anything back. So we thought we'd come and repeat our request. So we thought first up, that area is actually ecologically really important. So Southwest Area Plan has the Creamery Ponds as an integral part of the ecological corridors within Halswell. On the other hand, it's really contaminated. So it's at the downstream end of the stormwater treatment area. But, you know, you've got this mixture. It's actually the best that we've got. So it does have to be looked after. But on the other hand, you also have to be aware of the issues that can arise if you go eating material from there or letting your dogs go swim. So if you looked at the Halswell River Ruratini Stormwater Management Plan, it had suspended sediment, I'm reading from the list, copper, zinc, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, pathogens, nutrients as important contaminants of the river, and it's wear products of tire additives. They're toxic to aquatic life. So they're not the sort of, it's not the sort of place where you go fishing, and it's not the sort of place where you let your dog go swim. The site once had a gate, but access to the site is now 24/7. And one of our committee members, I now notice that people can drive into the area, and this is quoting verbatim, as do the idiots at night and do wheelies. So we've got a bit of an issue here on how that area is used. So our request is that the City Council puts up a sign that says that polluted water is there, recommending that people don't swim or fish, and that they keep their dogs out, and not just out of the water, but also that dogs should be on leads. And we also think that there should be lockable gates installed that are locked at night, as are Halswell Domain and Halswell Quarry. So that's what I wanted to bring to you. I just wanted to tag on the end as one of the things that you've got coming up at the end is a question about buses in Halswell. And we will put to you a request to bring a survey that we've done on bus use in Halswell. But one of the things that you might like to think about when you respond to that item is to ask ECAN for an update on their Halswell route review.
Okay.
Kia ora.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. And I filled out four quick questions. I've got one. I understood it was gifted to council. Is that correct, or has it always been council land, as far as you know?
The Creamery Ponds?
Yes.
Oh, that goes back well before I understand it. But it is an artificial installation. It's not part of some original swamp or something like that.
And it's council land now.
It is definitely council.
Okay. So any other Hank?
Does it open up to the Halswell River?
They drain into the Halswell River.
Okay, so are the fish, you mentioned fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's limited fishing in the Halswell River, but some of it you don't want to know about anyway.
Absolutely.
So, and the fishing season stopped, by the way.
So there are fish there.
So what are they?
Are there tuna?
Oh.
Okay.
Not as the canned variety.
No.
Oh, big one.
I can hear you.
Yeah, big ones. Yeah, well,
Are they slimy ones?
yeah, eels.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And they've long been in the Halswell River.
Absolutely. Nice to
Yeah.
get them out of there.
Yeah, well, I guess we'd like to leave them there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're important
So is there access for the eels to go out
to the river.
to the river?
Absolutely.
There is,
Yeah,
okay.
very much.
I've got a question from Andre, and then who's on Zoom, and then Mark. Andre, it's yours.
Thank you. Yeah, coincidentally, I'd asked some questions on this the day before you came through to us, and Faye had mentioned to me recently that she'd had some form of response, but not quite the response she was looking for yet. Is it possible, please, just to give Faye the opportunity to say what she did manage to uncover?
Okay, thank you, Faye.
Oh, well, so basically I've heard that, and probably David knows more than me, that the area was locked previously, and that there was a bit of pushback from residents saying that there should be access to locals, and that was the reason that the gates are going away, and also that there's no water monitoring done of the area by the council to determine the level of contamination.
No. Yeah, okay. So that's the response
That's the response I've had to date, and of course I got the suggestion that if we're aware of, or anybody is aware of any discharges, then they should be contacting ECAN. But that's in respect of a specific discharge, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And Mark,
That's all I've got today.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Andre, is that your only question, or have you got another one?
Yeah. I guess going forward, we need to clarify what public access to it is and isn't available, because that's the question I've had come through. And as a council, we don't seem to be sure what who can and can't access this reserve, and whether gates should be locked. Like we need to be able to give the public answers as to what this facility is for, what it isn't for, and so on and so forth. So it's a really good point that that David is raising today.
Thank you. Mark,
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the Springs Halswell Reserve, which is on the corner of Springs Road and Halswell Junction Road.
I know of it.
Yep, because from what I'm hearing, this Creamery Ponds must be fairly similar to that waterway that's behind the tall fences there, locked away from public access, and that it's highly contaminated.
Yeah.
So you'd be thinking that the Creamery Ponds really should be locked away.
It's actually a very nice open space. the thing that we would like to see is that the values, the ecological values such as they are respected, that human health and animal health is a risk that is appreciated. So it's got value, but it has risk. And that value needs to be maintained, but the risk needs to be managed. That's right. In terms of the gate, I'm not sure what the pushback from residents was, but the gate that was there would have stopped people driving into the reserve as opposed to parking on the verge and then walking from there. And I guess what we would be looking for is a gate that goes in that's not closed all the time as it was before, but is actually opened and shut. So people, if they want to go for a walk and don't want to park on the verge, which is actually a bit of a fraught activity, that they can actually take their vehicle in during daylight hours, but then people who would like to do less social things can be kept out. And as I say, there's the security people are already doing the rounds in Halswell, and this would just be another one added to the list.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Now, we've almost finished our time.
Could we refer that to staff for some?
Yes, so what we'll ask staff to do is give us a report or a brief, a written statement.
Staff advice
Advice
on the
on
status of the.
state of the
Creamery
pond, whether
ponds,
we can
ecological
manage it.
values, possibility of a gate going back,
and sign.
and are they aware, are they doing any testing? It is signage.
David, is this it here?
Yeah. Can I ask?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Can I just, David, are you aware of how deep it is?
I think it depends how much rain there has been. I would have guessed, at a guess, I would have said it's, depending on where you go, obviously, it's in that sort of 1 to 2 metre range.
The only reason I was asking is because of West Lake, and we've had issues around there where we've put up
Bollards.
bollards.
That's the car park right there, isn't it?
Yeah, and so I'm just concerned that might happen there, depending on the depth. But you're just wanting a gate to the entrance.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So at the moment, there is no gate. So there is nothing to stop someone who loses control of their vehicle driving into the pond.
Exactly.
But what we're looking for is, like we don't want to shut off the access, but we want to shut off the access for the less antisocial elements, which happens after dark.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Find a mudfish.
Thank you, David. So
Find one mudfish.
we'll actually get something back to us, and then we'll invite you back in.
Okay.
So well, thank you. And I've certainly haven't been aware of this issue before.
Yeah.
So I put something along the lines of the request staff advice on the status of the creamery ponds and the appropriate level of public accessibility to protect the ecological values and human health, and including, and then I'll go on the installation
monitoring
of
water. I think it's important.
including signage and the installation of gates.
Yeah.
And water monitoring, is that being done?
It's not being done.
Yeah.
It's probably not.
No.
But why not, I guess. Is the,
Well, you can ask for it. To me, water monitoring is like, we know what's going to happen. So you don't need to do any monitoring. But if you want to ask for it, well, why not?
we might as well know if they are tending
It's
to.
got cost.
Probably not.
Because one of the things about that is that the levels fluctuate.
Yes.
And so you do a snapshot and it only tells you the state of the waterway at the time you do the snapshot.
Okay.
But to do a systematic program of monitoring, you'll have to reach into your back pocket and start paying.
Well,
It's expensive.
perhaps we have to. Thank you. Thank you, David.
All right.
And I'm sorry to rush, but we've got a time frame for public forums.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Cheers, David.
Thank you. Now, Ross Holliston, you've come along and you tabled your your findings. I'm not sure that the public forum gives you enough time, but at least we'll start with it. And if I could go over by 5 minutes, is that acceptable to
Yes.
board members? Thank you.
Yeah,
So, thank you.
I'm Ross Williston, I'm the Research Submissions Officer of the Greater Hornby Residents Association. This is about the intersection of Gilthorpe's Road, Parker Street, Waterloo Road. Here today to speak on behalf of the residents located in the Greater Hornby Residents Association's catchment. We believe the opportunities were lost when the original consultations took place about the South West Express cycleway due to the way consultations were pushed through hurriedly and staff not truly listening to the community's concerns. That's why we're here today, having this consultation now. When it listened to, there would have been no need to. Cycleways are supported by our community who want to see our cyclists, pedestrians and motorists safe. Cycleway technology is meant to decrease the carbon footprint. However, the left in, left out option will only increase this, with many motorists having to do U-turns to get to their destinations.
Riccarton Road, 306. Sorry, I'm sorry, you've got an issue on the road like that.
Left in, left out is only favoured by 8.9%. And these will clearly not be those residents living in the Moffat Street Waterloo Road area who will be cut off from travel to the mall. Or those who live to the north use the shops in the garage in Waterloo Road. Left out will see trucks using the left turn out of Waterloo Road, then right into Taurima Street, then left into Waterloo Road again. So they have access to the industrial area to the east of here on Waterloo Road. This alone could see many accidents due to the narrowness of Taurima Street and the windiness. Moving the intersection on the status quo is also not an option, as motoring accidents may end up with cyclists in the line of fire from damaged vehicles. A mere 15.44% want the cycleway to proceed as the intersection is now. Lights for cyclists alone will not make this intersection any safer, and we want to keep our people safe. When you read the stats, which I believe were sent through, you can clearly see this intersection is not seen as a safe crossing. When coming from Carmen Road, I myself travel through Taurima Street, then left onto Gilthorpe's, as do many others, instead of at the crossing which this discussion is about. It's too dangerous. It's just, you've got no vision to the left onto Gilthorpe's at all. And if we wish to go to the shops, we'll have to cross into Parker Street, then do a U-turn to come back and turn left into Waterloo Road. This doesn't make sense. When you have a real in-depth look into this idea, you'll see many problems and certainly little solution. You've only created another ongoing problem. The only clear solution is to delay this crossing until funding is available to install a full set of lights at this intersection, complete with pedestrian crossings in all directions. We have at least one resident we know of who has withdrawn her children from school as she sees this location as too dangerous for her to cross with her children. Once again, delay this section of cycleway until funding is available. Do it properly and safely. Do it once and properly, as in the end will be the cheapest option.
Yes, thank you. Now, Mark, I'll start with questions and then I've got a question. So Mark, go ahead.
I noticed in your survey that you had the comment in there about Taurima Street being a truck rat run.
That's what will happen.
Are you familiar with that? That is already a banned route.
I am very familiar with it. There's not even trucks meant to go in there.
You're right.
Like Parker Street, which they run through anyhow.
Yep.
So they'll do the same.
And I guess on that thought, the community are fully aware that they might need to wait many, many years for that intersection to be treated.
Well, it's probably better to be left.
Okay, that's good. We will go into bat for you, but we can do what we can.
Yeah, they possibly would have been better originally to have gone through to Denton Park, through Kathleen Crescent, Foreman's Road, and then on to the Halswell Junction extension. Yeah. That probably would have been cheaper.
So my understanding of this is that the cycleway is a program that the board didn't support at the time.
That's right.
But it's there and council is voting on it in fact July. and it's just to actually proceed to effect design. So are you saying that all you want is, I mean, I know you don't like the cycleway, but if we've got to do it, or council has mandated that, are you saying that's all you want done at this point?
First of all,
Or are you almost saying
we
take
are not
away?
against the cycleways. Definitely not.
Mhm.
We don't oppose them at all. We're all for them. But people's safety is paramount. And we have seen, I've got a photo even on my camera, in my pocket probably, of a car that was shoved into a potential cycleway in an accident. Now, for cyclists there, that's it. They don't have fenders, as one of the traffic engineers once said. There will only be fender benders here. Cyclists and pedestrians do not have fenders. So it's a dangerous area and it should be done once and done right. Absolutely. And that is with traffic lights.
So if this issue is going to council, a cycleway program, and it's going through in fact July, we don't have a lot of power over that. They are starting at the other end. So what do you want us to do about this?
Well, we're just raising what the survey of the residents have said.
Yes.
This is now going to go to Star Media.
Yeah.
And it'll be published in Star Media. So hopefully council will get to see it themselves.
Okay, thank you. That's fine. Ian, and then Mark.
I've watched a couple of kids trying to cross from one side of the road to the other in this last week. It's pretty scary stuff.
It's very scary.
And one of these days, one of them's not going to make it or wants to get across too quick. I wonder what the possibility would be to put a pedestrian crossing opposite your place.
I think myself, it's about what needs to happen, or even
that's a lot cheaper than lights.
Even at Moffat Street across it needs a
somewhere there. I mean,
got to have one.
Traffic engineers can do it better than me, but
you think so?
No.
The traffic engineers thought that, or had the thought that people would cross from Moffat Street across Waterloo Road, then across the cycleway crossing, then cross back across Waterloo Road to go to the church. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
There's no way that's going to happen.
No. They need to get across Gilbert Hawks Road
to
go to school even.
That's right.
So, which is what they're doing. So I wonder whether we can ask for a pedestrian crossing somewhere in that area.
It would certainly help at the moment.
Yeah, it's a short term, quick.
I don't think because of the type of road, I don't think they do them.
Okay, thank
There's
you.
one at the other
Mark, I've got a question from Mark, and then I'm going to have
by school.
I'm going to have to do something with this.
My understanding is that the report that's coming before council is purely for the traffic control measures for everything but that intersection. So it'll be Waterloo Road, it'll be Waterloo Road.
That's right, Mark, on the 21st.
Right.
Yep. So it's not going to be the intersection. They've assured us of that, which is
we realise that too, but
the problem leaves the problem of how do you get from one piece of the cycleway to the other piece of the cycleway?
Yeah,
that's going to be tricky.
The problem is with that actual area is when the surveys were done, they were done about 2017. That traffic has increased massively since then, with many quarry trucks using it as a through pass, plus others. It's just going crazy.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Could I suggest that we ask staff for some urgent advice around the pedestrian crossing problems?
Thank you.
On that north side of Waterloo Road, Gilberthorpes.
Are you referring to pedestrian crossing or refuge?
Well, either. We need something to protect pedestrians. They do it. It's horrifying. Yeah. I was down there about an hour ago going to a meeting, and there were two kids trying to get across.
Nothing funny about it.
It's not.
So we ask staff advice on
Urgent advice for
possibly
pedestrian crossing capabilities on that north side of Waterloo on Gilberthorpes.
north side of Waterloo.
Living right there, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
So Gregory Ave side.
Yes.
I think, and have you talked about the banning of heavy traffic outside Hornby Primary and Hornby High?
That won't happen. You've got industrial area up the top in Waterloo Park.
Yes.
You've got an industrial area over the other side of Carmen Road. They've got access between there somehow. And cutting the road in the middle to make them do U-turns and go otherwise is just not the answer.
Okay.
Right.
So if we ask for what Mark's requested, And then it comes back to us. And then at that stage, I think we actually have a further conversation with you and the Hornby Residents Association.
I am a wee bit worried about the possibility of a refuge, in that, you know, as David Hawke said, you get the idiots out at night, and we certainly get them out there with all around that area. And I'm a bit concerned some of them might maybe hit that refuge, quite frankly.
And there's, sorry, just to add to that, also is that there's still, even like by Horsell to Harbour Library where they've got those refuges, it's still difficult to get from the side of the road to the refuge, then from the refuge to the other side of the road on such a busy road. And so I think you're preferring a pedestrian crossing than a refuge. If we can perhaps put that in our
Well, we can't tell.
no, but just that they favour it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll read out what I've got now and you correct me. Is that all right? So I've put the board's request urgent staff advice on the safety of pedestrians on the north side of Waterloo and Gilbert Brooks Road, and the possibility, and the possible installation of pedestrian crossing facilities to address this. But that facilities would leave it open to.
Yes, they can give us advice.
And I think we come back to further matters.
Options for
options.
There is one other very small matter. In the Star today, we see there's a 307 property development going in at the old golf centre, which we've known about for some time. And staff consider it not to be of community concern. I can assure you it will definitely be of community concern, as we can see this being a future slum area.
Traffic's really bad.
Absolutely.
You cannot even get in and out of Branson Street half the time.
No, absolutely. And they'll be looking at purely in planning terms.
Exactly.
Rather than how people feel and how they see their neighbourhood.
Like the development right next to me.
I have already been in touch with the planning team to try and make sure we get this looked after well.
Well, perhaps we'll bring the planning staff to briefing, I think. Yes.
On that development.
On that development,
Is that going to be open to the residents?
Well, I think we could make it that way, yes.
Would you like
Yes,
to?
yes. I think it's a huge development.
Yeah, we'll have to go to our meeting and I think there will be concern raised.
One of the big things I've raised a concern is the infrastructure, such as sewer. Can it cope? It's already struggling.
We already have sewage backflowing up the drains at home now, and there's developments right next to us.
Happens in Riccarton, yes. Same it. Thank you very much, Ross.
Thank you, Ross.
So, moving on to, I've got some of the issues I think are quite easy. We've got a petition. No, I have a petition. My apologies. So, Mr. Bean and Heather Gilmore, Mr. Alan Bean and Mrs. Heather Gilmore, if you wish to come to the table, please.
So we've got no deputations in.
Okay. We're on item 6. Thank you for coming in. And you've tabled a petition. Yes. And I believe we need to change it from Chicory Reserve to Platinum Park.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I understand, so everyone's clear, that you did ring in and check the actual name, and someone could have been the call centre told you Chicory Park. So so it's a council error basically. But anyway, you're here. We've got the right name. Yes. And if you have the maximum of 10 minutes, including questions. So I'd cover.
We'll be quicker than that.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody's waiting. It seems such a trivial thing compared to some of the things I've heard tonight. But I did get a petition up to, I live at Somerset Retirement Village in Wigram, and there's, what is it, 300 of us there, and we go around the block, we call it. It's a lovely 1.6 walk, and nearly all of us do it. And you've got to remember there's over 200 people living there. Now, what we're requesting is a seat. Have you ever sat on a bollard, Helen? Because they hurt. And we would love a seat somewhere just down that reserve concerning the whole of Somerset. And all you people may be there one day, so just remember. But Alan, my dear friend and neighbour here, he's written up something he would, but that's all I've got to say, and that's the petition.
So you're formally tabling that today, thank you. I've got a question from Debbie and then Mark.
What was the reserve called again?
Sorry?
Yeah, I can't find it either.
Yeah,
So
I'm taking staff advice here.
It runs between Platinum Drive and Awatere.
Yes.
Yes, it's just above Somerset.
And
The retirement village, Wigram.
Yes.
If you know where that is, it's
Yep.
just there,
Sorry?
just above it.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Way through between.
So Mr. Bean, if
Dr. Bean, actually.
Dr. Bean, thank you. So if you'd like to add something, and then we'll open things up for questions.
I am a retired doctor and living at Somerset at Wigram, and I am here to represent 182 voices in our local community. We could get some more have come forward since, and we respectfully request our council to install a seat in Platinum Park, which is a little strip of grass and a path going through from Awatere Road to Platinum Drive. It effectively cuts the residential block into two pieces. All of us are getting older, and retired people get older faster, but even you people will join us someday.
And you'll love that.
When I moved into Somerset, I could happily walk a good 5 kilometres. And in fact, I used to do this twice a week because there were 2 walking groups that I was in. But now, 7 years later, I've just turned 90. I have to use a stick because my balance is not so good. And I try and walk round the block 1.25 kilometres most days. And as I get older, I suspect that I will have more difficulty and only walk a shorter distance, and and by cutting through the block, one can walk a shorter distance and still have a regular daily walk, and so keep mobile. That's most important, that elderly people do walk in order to keep mobile. And my friend Heather Gilmore last year struggled to even walk the halfway round because she had a heart condition and had to rest sitting on the small wooden post that holds up the wire fence. And after a lot of thought, she decided to raise a petition, and she has gone to the trouble of calling on nearly 200 people in our community to support her request for a seat, which will help people to keep active and even maintain themselves as old age creeps up on you. She approached Andre Moore, who organised for her to present this petition to the community board, but she was reluctant to get up and speak to it and asked me to present it to you on her behalf. We therefore request your permission to table this petition at this meeting, hoping for your favourable consideration.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, I've got a question from Andre, who you've mentioned, and then Debbie and Mark. Andre?
I struggle with hearing.
Andre, have you got a question?
Yes, can you hear me all right?
I hope so.
Okay. Look, thank you very much for coming in. Now, when I collected the petition from you last week, you mentioned that the number of people who have signed is well over half the amount of people living there altogether. Is that?
Yes, there's 182 signatures. They're all from Somerset people, except the last half a dozen, I think. It was hard work, I can tell you, but we've got that to you, so we are getting there.
Well, thank you very much for putting the hard work in and your efforts. We'll see what we can do.
Yes,
thank you, Andre.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Debbie, also from Halswell, and then Mark, who's a...
Thank you very much for that. Now, just because we're struggling to find out where it is, you're saying it's on Platinum Drive.
If you go down Awatere Road, Springs Road, is it? If
there's a walkway
or Wigram Road, you'll see Somerset Retirement Village.
Yep, I'm very familiar with Somerset.
Okay, and just before that, you'll see the little reserve.
There's a grey line through the middle of the blocks.
Okay, I'm just trying to ascertain, because I'm aware there is a park bench not far from there, which is in the Edwin Ebbett.
Yes, that's down the road a wee bit. Edwin Ebbett was the pilot of the plane.
That's right. I recall being there.
Yeah, and there's another little village down in there. I think it belongs to Rhodes. Does it? Rhodes Memorial Family?
I'm not sure.
No, there is a little village there, but that didn't really concern us. We've got enough on our plate with Somerset.
So, because I don't know exactly where this area is that you're wanting to park, compared to Edwin Ebbett seat,
that's actually a memorial seat down by the Horseshoe River.
It's still a seat.
So that's a long way from us.
Okay, that's what I was trying to determine.
Okay. And it's not, I'm not saying it's not safe, but it's quite closed in down there towards the seat. And the block that we talk about, it's out in the Platinum Park
down there.
Yeah.
And this is the piece they talked about up
here. It's on it's a walking track.
Basically. Well, it's lovely. It's very well kept by the council.
Can I then request that we do put in a seat, because I bought a park bench myself the other day. It was $300. So.
Yeah, and we have been told today at a Chairs Forum there's funding called Better Off funding, and that's coming from central government.
I know it would cost more because it would need to be fixed somehow, but
yes,
it costs around between 10 and 15 when I was doing them there.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing a fill major and being hydraulic tools.
Well, I don't. I'll help lay some concrete.
I'll get it bigger again. I don't mind. It's an easy enough thing. I think it's definitely doable with the Better Off funding.
It shouldn't cost that much.
I think it's great.
Yes, I think budget, and I think people.
It's doable.
I think you've got the support of the board, so it's just a matter of us finding funding, basically. Mark.
Yep. Thank you for bringing this along. I'm very familiar with the village.
Oh, good.
My mother-in-law moved in there about a month ago.
A month? Well, I've been there 7 years.
Yeah, so I visit there probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Right, you just look up me in number 13 and I'll take you up the park. We'll go up the park together.
It's not for lads.
I've got a practical question. Are you wanting just a park bench, or you want one with a back to it?
It's got to be a back. It's got to be a proper strong seat, comfortable, and
a few cushions, recliner.
I don't think it'll ever get cold. Someone will be sitting there all the time.
Might I suggest that perhaps as well as getting staff advice, we could look at the idea of teaming up with the Lions or the Rotary or some service clubs to
May not be an issue.
work it through.
It may not be an issue. I'm not sure, but I think that there might be some sort of parks funding available. So we'll look into that first and we'll do what else.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, Mark, I was going to have a conversation with the men's shed as well.
He had a good idea that men's shed, I'm sure, would be proactive about that as well. They like to help.
Well, I'll pass all that on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Well done.
No, it's
Thank you.
it's quite been.
Look out sometime.
Thank you very much for that coming in.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for your kindness.
Thank you.
And you managed to last year's better than I did.
Every good plate is a little dead end.
Yes, it is.
Right.
That's the trouble.
Oh, right.
Goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, he made the
That's all right.
He made the stairs up here. I didn't.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In view of the confusion over the name, it would be lovely if you could put a wee notice up saying what the park is.
He's talking about signage.
Thank you. We'll put it at the back of the seat.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
Awesome.
It's quite amazing.
Yes.
Going on to item 7,
That'd be a good one.
we just, could someone move, we receive the correspondence?
Yes.
Mark moves, someone seconds, I'll second.
Yes, thank you.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Now, I'm trying to get one of the next ones, 8 and 9, done fairly quickly. I don't think there's any debate about it.
I'll move number 8.
Happy to second number 8.
We've got a staff member for number 8. So if you'd like to have a chair, if you want to cover anything at all, or
No, this is just one of those formalities, I'm
Yeah.
afraid, so.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Another question?
No.
No. So move Debbie, seconded Mark. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Nice
work.
Item 9, I think it's the fast one too. Can I have a move for that? Move
Second.
Debbie, seconded Gamal. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Now, also, the jump over 10 and do number 11.
We've got Lindsay here for number 10.
Yes,
Number 10.
yes, I know, but I'll do one that's fairly quick. Number 11 is appointments to the Airport Noise Liaison Committee. I'm going to move, I've got a seconder in Gamal. I'm moving that Debbie Moira and Mark Peters be the 2 representatives appointed to the Airport Noise Liaison Committee, and Sarah Brunton appointed as an alternate, if required. So I've moved that. I've got a seconder in Gamal. Debate. I'll move that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. So we've done that one. Thank you. And the 2 issues that we have going to have some debate over the Horsell Junction Road extension. I don't think it's debate, but we probably need to have a staff member for an update on that one.
Presentation.
Thank you. Now, just if you could give your names and your title.
Yeah.
And the title of the organisation.
My name's Lindsay White. I'm the project manager for the Horsell Junction Road Extension for Council. And this is Lyndon Keys, who works for Fulton Hogan, who have been appointed our contractor. And the purpose of today was just to come and give you a bit of an update about the project, being that it's about to start off on site, so you were aware of everything that's happening. This is the presentation that we actually gave at the drop-in sessions when we communicated with the community in the last few weeks. So it's just really an overview. And you can ask any questions that you.
Thank you. And it's been around a long time. And I think us older ones have track of it. And then the people coming in haven't heard about it as yet. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, so that's probably worth noting. I'm the new project manager for it, so I've only been on this since February. So you probably know a lot more about it than I do.
So we'll just run through the presentation, just a few slides, just to kind of, it's just on this one here, Helen, sorry, I don't know if you can see it.
It has been uploaded to the members
So it's
hub
content.
as well, so they can look at it later as well.
Right. So just to give you a little bit of background, this project is for a new link road from the Foreman's Road intersection over a new level crossing at the railway to join on to Waterloo Road. Provides a direct link up to the Waterloo Business Park. And once the new level crossing is open, the existing level crossing will be decommissioned, and that existing section of Hallswell Junction Road, which has a lot of residences on it, will become a cul-de-sac. There's significant support from the local community, obviously you as the board and surrounding businesses when the consultation happened for the scheme, which was back in 2017 and approved in 2018. The project is significantly more complicated than originally envisaged due to the Kiwi Rail interface and their works around the railway, which is why the project's gone on for such a long time. So I'll just run through a few key features and then hand over to Lyndon to talk more about the construction. So in terms of the new level crossing and the link to Waterloo Road, so this is where we're joining Waterloo Road, where the South Express major cycle route finished works last year. So the works on Waterloo Road have been completed by the major cycleway. They got to this point on the road at the railway, and there's now like a white wooden fence, and that's where we're punching through for the new level crossing. This will also have a new pedestrian and cycle crossing being installed, which obviously links to the cycleway for the MCR. The new level crossing obviously allows for the existing level crossing to be closed, which is quite a difficult crossing for all road users at the moment. And the new Kiwi Rail crossing will be to the latest safety standards, which is obviously an improvement on the existing level crossing at the moment, which includes pedestrian gates, things like that. So in terms of the Kiwi Rail elements of the job, they're doing all the work that is within the railway. This line is their main South Line and Midland line, so it's quite a busy line for them. And it also has the Transalpine train that moves down there. They undertake their works through various line closures, which is quite a long process for them to allocate the resource to be able to shut the line down for a weekend, cancel all the trains or move them so that they're working outside of those times. So their signals design is actually still underway. They have actually constructed some parts already because there are works further down the line that are impacted by moving the level crossing. And that includes some track changes, some siding alterations, lots of signalling changes, and the signalling will be upgraded to what's called a HEMA system, which is basically a safer and more reliable signalling system. So they're slowly doing that across their network, and this will be one of the sites that they do that for first. So in terms of the Foreman's Road and Hallswell Junction Road intersection, it's going to look quite different than it does at the moment. So this slide, although quite busy, does show the new layout and the link road alignment. So you can see the new link road going up to the railway. So obviously it's a much more direct route northbound, significant changes in level to the railway, and that's, Lyndon will talk about that a little bit more. It will make the existing access road that's there at the moment into an access only for what is currently Move Logistics at the bottom. And then the other businesses will feed off the new link road. So there's more landscaping going in. We're moving the bus stops onto the new link road. There's a new shelter going in and a new bus seat. So yeah, and then obviously the link road will only become fully functional once the works in the railway have been completed. So we will do as much as we can in this construction period now, and depending on Kiwi Rail's programme, which we'll keep you up to date with when we receive it, we'll know when we can come back and finish the works to open the road.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm clicking, but it's not clicking the wrong thing. That's fine. Okay, so the existing section of Hallswell Junction Road that runs up to the existing level crossing, this, once we've decommissioned that crossing and we've switched over, this section of Hallswell Junction Road will become a cul-de-sac. So this can only be constructed once the level crossings have been switched over. This section of Hallswell Junction Road will need a new road name and some new property numbering. So that's something that we will be coming back to the board with for options for the road name. So we'll have to go through a consultation process for that with the local residents, and obviously you'll be very involved in that, so we'll start working through that as soon as. In this section, the road will be resurfaced and new curb and channel and footpaths are being put on the west side where there currently isn't any. This also shows the treatment at the top for Waterloo Road. So obviously where the existing crossing is at the moment, security fencing will go up. There will be no crossing there at all, not for pedestrians or anything. And then the MCR will run along Waterloo Road across there.
Can I ask a question now? Is
Sure.
that okay?
Go ahead.
The road that you want to name, sorry, I can't see it from here. So that's the extension of.
No, so it's from Foreman's Road up to Waterloo, where the road currently is aligned. That section that will become a cul-de-sac. We went kind of back and forth with different staff members at the council who deal with this in terms of like new developments, and it makes more sense for the new link road to stay as Halswell Junction Road, because Halswell Junction Road then continues after Waterloo Road, so it's a much more straight link.
That's right.
And then to rename this smaller cul-de-sac and renumber that.
So my next question then is, because with new developments, it usually comes as a recommendation from the developer, the names. So where does the recommendation for this?
So we will, there's a couple of different options. So when I spoke to the team about the process for that, obviously they were talking about it just for new developments. We don't really do this at the council in terms of existing roads. So she was suggesting that we either come up with some names to take to the community, or we can get some input from the board, from the Residents Association. Don't really know how you would like to work that, but we're happy to be open to that process to get some options to be able to take out to consultation. Obviously, we can't take an exhaustive list, but we would, if we could get a short list,
3 or 4.
Yeah, that has some relevance to the area and makes sense for that section.
Okay, thank you. Any comments? Have you got further comments, or have you got feedback from residents at all?
Not yet. Not yet. So we've only just awarded the contract, so I wanted to make sure that was underway, and then we can start this process. So this will be running along in the background.
I can tell you the residents are really excited for this cul-de-sac.
Good.
I've got Sarah a question.
So from the existing Halswell Junction Road, did you say there'll be no access to the other side over the railway line?
Not at that location anymore, no. It will just be the new link road, and that's really a safety aspect.
Okay.
And this has been decided by council as yet, or are you putting?
No, it was decided in 2018. The design, it was approved in 2018.
Okay, so it's been decided basically.
There's two things. One is on your very first slide, it looked to me like you were showing 4 railway lines there.
It's a double track.
There's only 2. I realise that, but it looked like you were showing 2 which are no longer in existence.
Oh, do you want me to go back?
Yeah, right on the very.
So do we have this in our agenda?
Yes. You sent it separately yesterday, I think.
It's only half a line.
It's on the hub, Debbie.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find it. Oh, you got it. Thank you.
Might be the next slide that shows it in the red bit there. Yeah, see there it shows there and there and there and there.
Oh yeah, so some of sorry, that's it's
just an
old base.
Yep.
Yeah, that comes through on those
line
drawings.
The other line.
Yeah, sorry, I actually hadn't noticed that, but yeah, it does show up in some of our roading plans, that base for the rail.
And then the other thing, which probably has the same answer, is that in the slide where you showed a photo of the of the thing there, it showed a gap. Yeah, that map in there. It showed a gap between the road and the railway line.
In that photo there.
In that, yeah, it shows this gap here. Now, Kiwi Rail have a rubber strip that fits up against that.
They do, yeah.
It's just to stop people putting their wheel in it or their foot in it or whatever. Is that going to happen here?
As I understand it, yeah, they are putting Australia.
That's actually not the same.
No, it
No,
can't
it's
be.
not. That was just an indicative.
This one's a concrete track. The one that that's coming in the Edelongs is rubber.
Okay.
So it's fully.
Which is, I think they got down on Carbon Road, I think.
Yeah.
This is actually, that's the new one in Ashburton that's just been built.
Is it? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything extra or our contractor, Fulton Hogan, is it?
Yep.
Over to you.
If you want to have a few words.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm Lyndon.
Nice to meet you, actually.
You can see up there, that's the team that, or the the top level of the team that will be building the job. We actually have quite a number assigned to this one, but they'll be familiar faces. So I'm sort of high level oversee from our point of view, but the middleman there, Tom's our project manager, and he'll be on site running it day to day. And Susie Pottinger, who's obviously another very critical part of the wheel, is the communications, which go hand in hand with the physical work. So they are both busy at present prepping up our comms plans to go out to all the businesses before we go get into the physical work. So. Like you want to run that for me? Yeah. So there's a bit of a description of what we're doing and pretty much the order it needs to really go. So the next couple of weeks we're into site establishment, which involves finding everything underground, getting prepared to start digging, putting in all the underground services, trying to build up the existing ground for the new link road, because there is quite a substantial amount of fill to go in there to accommodate the road, and new water mains, street lighting, some retaining work to hold the road in place, and then it's pretty much just road construction from there on until Kiwi Rail does their part, and we can finish off with the signals at the crossing, finish off the decommissioning the other crossing.
Okay, thank you. Now, question, Henk?
Yeah. I'm interested to know how you're going to get the cycleway from where it currently comes to cross the railway crossing, or to go along the railway crossing onto the continuation of the cycleway along Waterloo Road. So your cycleway comes from Halswell Junction Road.
Yes.
Currently. Yep. And it stops obviously where there's nothing. And then on the other side, so how are you going to cross the road there?
This is across the existing.
It'll be across Halswell Junction, the new Halswell Junction Road.
At this point here.
Yeah.
This at the new crossing you're talking about.
The blue double line.
The blue double line, is that what it is?
So typically the green painting is where the bikes run, and it is run by traffic lights. So there will be those little boxes show you where the bikes stop.
Okay, so that's
all activated by the signal. So they hold there until they get their green light to cross.
So there'll be a new pedestrian and cycle crossing that goes across the new link road, so that as a cyclist or a pedestrian you can kind of come down and join on, and then you join on to the MCR. That's
because you've already got a bit of cycleway there, haven't you?
Yeah.
on along Waterloo Road.
Yeah. So that
you just haven't joined it.
Yeah.
So you're going to put stoplights there in favour of the cyclists. Is that right?
At that point there, down the other end, which I think the existing one, that won't get put in until we've actually closed it. That'll be one. That'll be just joining the dots.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when you do it. Okay.
Yeah, so it's all linked together, and that one in particular as well is obviously linked to the signals for the rail as well. So so there's quite a lot going on with that intersection, especially at the top of the link road, because obviously you've got traffic, cycles and pedestrians, and trains.
Yeah, because that's not too dissimilar to what we were talking about the next crossing. It was a very
route, basically. There.
Oh yes, that's it. Yeah. I don't know what I was looking at then.
It's good.
Thank you. So any other questions?
Oh, we've just got a couple more slides about the construction, and then we'll get out of your hair.
There's a few complexities with it. There's a lot. You can see all those colourful lines, dots all the way through. They're all the buried stuff that's already in there. So we've got to work around all that. So we've got a full week ahead of us trying to find all that, where that might cross new stuff we're putting in the ground. And then that just helps us locate it so that we know everything's going to be done properly and safely. It's a heavy haulage route, current heavy haulage route. So obviously we're based there. Move Logistics are just over the back fence. And then we've got Pound Road, Waterloo Road Business Park using it. So we've taken that into account when we've put our TMP together, traffic management, to favour the movements that we see typically that all those trucks take. It's an arterial route, so it does a bit of a shortcut there through from Pound Road, bypass through Hornby. So we're mindful of that. There is a lot of traffic, and it is busy for work time commuters. Business access and residential access to take into account. We've always got to maintain access to that, and the scale of the new link road time with the rail, 1.5 metre lift to build up to meet the existing rail. So We've also got to match all that in, as you can see on the next slide. The dashed line at the bottom where the arrow is the current ground, and then everything above that's got to be built up. So everything to the side of that, and including the existing properties, need to be altered to tie in with their new buildings. So there's a bit of maintaining their business while we build up around them. And we've got a fair bit
So
of
you
plan
have
for.
to raise the road by 1.6 metres.
Yes, at the railway.
So does that mean an absolute demolishing of the present road to rebuild and build up?
It's more of a take the surface off it and then build up from there, really.
Oh,
lots of metal.
But yeah, just to tie it in. It's no, we won't be digging out any more below it. It's more
so just as a matter of interest, when you do take that top surface off, do you reuse that anywhere? Is hard fill anywhere, or?
It's new. Well, it's existing bitumen chip seal, so it's typically there's no reuse at this stage. If it was an asphalt surface, which it can be recycled and put back through the asphalt, it will be a bit of it's not in a good state, to be fair. So it's probably more of a fill out hole.
Okay, thank you. Anything further?
Got to work.
Yep, there's a bit in there.
Good. Do we have a site visit at all?
Perhaps we should. Do you think at some point?
At the beginning, in the middle, beginning? I just.
Wherever they
it's
see
quite
fit.
major. It would be quite.
So if we just run through the next couple of slides, just so you can see kind of timings and things like that, then we can definitely, we can definitely talk about it.
So a big focus on all of our projects when we're at our planning stages of stakeholders. Obviously, business continuity and minimal impact on there is what we take into account when we set our programs. And we've done it's been put a fair bit of effort into working traffic movements here and planning which areas of the job to tackle and work our way out. So we've been a disruption plan's been put in place to go to the stakeholders, and now that we've got the contract, that's Lindsay and Susie will be out there and forced to go and meet one-on-one and see what the criteria are, and then we then can adapt our programs to suit. So, traffic management. So we've come to selecting the one-way system, given that there's so much traffic in the area and the heavies on the road. This provides the best of both worlds. It maintains access for everyone, but it also gives us maximum, or as best case, maximum room to work in, which helps us do it quicker. So the one-way system we've got runs northbound from State Highway 1 through to the current rail crossing, and eastbound on Foreman's Road from the south, if you like, through that way. So everyone travels the same direction. There is some detours that we've stipulated in that one there. Pound Road, what's that road on Parker Street?
They've got lights.
So they're controlled by signal intersection, which is the safest way of putting people back onto the existing road. So, and with any horizontal job, there's a lot of stuff underground, and we've got a balanced program with disruption. So that's why we have a lot of focus coming out now to talk to the locals and see what's best for them, tailor our approach. We acknowledge we disrupt everyone, but we're passionate in trying to get around that. You can see there's some examples of what we can offer. We do personalised signage for businesses. We have done in the city with their branding on it and directions to how to access their places. Footpath protection, so not there's too many footpaths to maintain, but we can run carpet, as you can see there, around to keep things looking a bit tidy. We do have all our staff are well versed in dealing with stakeholders. They're it's been drummed into them over a few years through the city work. So positive traffic management was the last one there.
Sorry.
That's all working out. Yeah, so we do adapt our working to suit. We acknowledge along there's a lot of residential on the existing HJR, so that's the reason. Another reason for the one way is so we can maximise daylight and get away from night time. These are some signage that we've developed over the past few months from previous jobs. So Susie's developed the QR code there, so that's for feedback. Not everyone likes to confront someone on site and go through stuff, so this gives people the option. They can scan the QR card and give feedback, select the project that we're doing, and then we'll have some questions. And that's completely anonymous, but it comes straight back to our team. and then we can action it. So that'll be live. So if we need to jump on something, then that's all ready to go. So, so we touched on this. Investigation works next week, and stakeholder and engagement. Going forward, we've got the newsletters going out, and regular project catch-ups. So that'll just update the locals on what's going on and if anything changes.
Thank you. I've got a question from Marie.
Lindsay, I was at one of your drop-in sessions some time ago. I was wondering if you have any results or consolidated feedback from those drop-in sessions?
Not as in like results, but we did take away quite a few queries and things to look at from those drop-in sessions. They were actually really well attended. Both sessions were, which was really good. And we answered quite a lot of the questions that people had there and then, because we had the aerial maps out on the table so people could kind of visualize. Those maps are very hard to look at, as you know, from the presentation. It doesn't always mean something to somebody who lives in the area. So having the aerial maps there, they could find their property and kind of stand and have a look and see how the work affected them.
Were there any main concerns?
Don't think there was really too many main concerns. One of the questions we got was about the people on the existing Halswell Junction Road and about replacement of we got asked about letterboxes, and I went back and asked at council, and I think we would replace the numbers, but we wouldn't necessarily replace the letterboxes because that's obviously a property asset personal to that property, but we can definitely help with the replacement of the numbers depending on what they end up being. And then it was really just interest around how it was going to work, whether we'd considered different sections outside people's properties, which we ran through on the night, really.
Thank you. Okay, Debbie.
Just two questions, all in the same sentence. How long will this take, start to finish, and will it be a 24/7 operation?
So it's kind of a two-part answer. How long will it take is wholly dependent on Kiwi Rail in terms of when we can open the road, because they have to finish their work at the crossings and on the railway land for us to be able to switch them over. They are meant to be doing some work in July, which is good, but they'll have another few block of lines. They can only do what they can do in the short time that they've got the line blocked out. So we are waiting on some programme information from them. But as I mentioned earlier, and Linda will be able to talk to this a bit more, we will obviously, under this contract, do as much work as we can prior to them finishing, so that we're ready to be able to come back after the switch over to be able to finish the cul-de-sac. We'll always have some work to come back for, but you can probably give a better.
Well, we will leave it at that point as much as we can, that our footprint's diminished. So the worst thing, the biggest feedback we get is no one likes seeing cones and signs outside. So we'll get it to a point where we can actually leave, pick up and go, if it means they're going to be there for several months waiting. So we've staged it so that it's fully operational as it is, and then it'll just be easy to come back and implement our TM again, which will be a lot easier, because at that point then it's just closing the road and quite a small footprint. Whereas while we do this, it's very invasive from now through to trying to get the roads rebuilt. But once that road's finished anyway.
So will it be 24/7? I'm assuming, and obviously you can't with the noise control. Well, that's at any time of the day or night. But there are, I'm assuming, some quieter jobs that you can do in the middle of the night.
Yeah, so there will be a little bit where we do some massive impact invasive works with the pavements, where, like, for instance, right through the intersection of Foreman's and Halswell Junction. We can get that done a lot quicker if we can have the whole road space. So we would tackle that under a night and day sort of setup. But as a rule, it'll be predominantly just day shift, because everyone's got a life too out of work, and our team, but also the residents. They don't want us ticking away along. Yeah, we're right with the low impact stuff. It doesn't make too much noise. If we need to, we will take those opportunities. But we'd rather utilise a weekend daytime rather than a night time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. And then I think we'll probably have to wind things up.
So without tying you to this, what sort of time frame are we talking?
That's what I asked.
Approximately, but they wouldn't really get like a...
So on the start works notice that came out, I said end of next year for the whole job, because and hopefully we would be a lot earlier than that. But in terms of stage one,
It will be, we're currently aiming for January, mid-February for the first stage. So that will be us going waiting for Kiwi Rail.
A year,
And
effectively.
then there's several months after that. too.
And as we learn more about that programme from Kiwi Rail, we'll obviously keep you updated, and we'll keep you updated on progress as we go through.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'll give it a last question to Mark and perhaps a statement. Yes, if you want to make a statement.
So thank you so much for all your efforts on this, from both of you. It is totally appreciated. Kiwi Rail, interestingly, I was talking to Megan Wood's electorate office just before I came here tonight, and I've got an inquiry with her to try and get this sorted out with Kiwi Rail. So that's a good work in progress. Thank you for your consultation with the community with all updates on what's going on. It'll be interesting to be able to get along to the Panthers home base and see that and how that was sitting, because it'll be interesting with the game days, I guess, if you're doing any weekends work in particular. I think last Saturday would have been a nightmare with how they were game club day. I guess they're all being catered for.
Yeah, that's what that stakeholder engagement will go out, because they'll give us key dates, and then we work to those dates and maintain access.
Excellent. And if there's any way that the local council can help in this, let me know.
I'm just about to finish.
Yeah, no, that's right. Just going back to our on-site visit, is that an option, or is that going to be in your way? Because we don't want to be in your way.
No, we can accommodate it.
Yeah, look, I think it's probably worth doing, and we can also have a look at the park, Gilberthorpe Street and Moffat Street in section as well.
We've got a nice big signboard going up saying "Waiting for Kiwi Rail."
So there are some visual messaging boards up at the moment, just informing people about the traffic management to give them a few days lead in before.
So I'm really pleased that it's come to its start. It's been around about 10 years at least.
It has been a long
And
time.
also thank you for coming in, and thank you to Fulton Hogan. It's just been helpful.
Happy to move.
Thank you. We're just moving, we received the report.
Received the report.
Yes, thank you. Seconded, Mark. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Yes,
Thanks a lot.
carried. Thank you
Thank you
very much indeed.
Nice to listen in the backyard.
Now, discretionary funding, item 12. And we normally go through this very quickly, but if staff would like to come to the table, I've had a number of requests about the funding for questions, possibly change. So if I bring up 12, and we'll go through, I've said I'd go through it item by in fact item. Should I be getting this up? Here it goes. So which page?
Yeah,
Page item 12.
No, I think it's a good question.
Three.
I looked at it.
Three, what?
33.
Oh, yeah.
So if
I'm not sure what it's for. So. Yeah. And then
right, the first one is number 1, approve a grant of $9,056 from the discretionary response fund of Hornby Community Care Trust. Can I have a mover?
Yep.
And a seconder.
Actually,
Mover, Mark.
you might need to sit back on this one.
Oh, because I'm
you're on
sorry. Yes.
Move Mark.
But I'll second.
Seconded him.
Yeah.
Sarah stands back.
Yeah.
Any discussion, debate?
I think that's a brilliant.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Approve of grant of $5,793 from discretionary funds to Hornby Community Daycare Trust.
Yep.
You're moving that?
Move that.
A seconder here.
Yep.
Any debate about that?
Again.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. 3, approve a grant of $3,500 to Hornby Tory Library towards the running costs. Is that a shift that you want to make there?
Yes, could I suggest an amendment to that to 5,000?
If you want to move that, well, seconder.
Perhaps you should hear from staff.
Yes.
I did.
Okay, we'll hear from staff first on that one. So there's a move to move it to 5,000.
Yeah, but sometimes
So if comments, please, thank you.
Well, if there's a question, maybe I can answer the question, but yeah, I guess that is the recommendation. I did send out an email. I'm not sure if you all received it this afternoon, kind of giving some more detail about that rationale. So unless there's questions about that.
Well, I'll ask a question then.
Yes.
Why was it not more than that?
Okay, so yeah. Essentially, this is, I know there's a couple that people are asking questions about potentially or suggesting potentially raising the amount. So this might cover all of those. So essentially, we don't want to set up our organisations to fail. So that's across the board. So there are times where we do fund all of a project when it's ongoing costs, which this is what this one is. We do try to ensure that those organisations have multiple streams of income. At the moment, the community board are happy to support and the funds are available. But if for some reason those funds weren't available and we've been their sole funder for a long time, then that organisation would be in big trouble. There are exceptions to that, but in this instance, I do think that the organisation can get funding from elsewhere. Hornby Toy Library does need support, I think, in terms of capacity of that organisation, but that doesn't necessarily have to come through money. There are options for them to come back to us through the discretionary response fund for particular projects throughout the year. But yeah, that is the recommendation. I think it also, sorry, one more. Important to note that it does align with similar organisations across the city. There is, which is different to what the email said, I found one toy library that does receive more funding, but it sits across 2 community board areas. So both of those boards are funding that organisation. But it is an increase from previous years.
So the basic reason that you've advocated this is that you feel they can get funding from elsewhere.
Other streams.
There's also the other fact with a lot of the recommendations of a lot of these, probably the next lot, not probably the previous 2, but the next probably 7, all of these organisations that would traditionally and have in the past applied to the Strengthening Communities Fund. All of them failed to do so on time. So staff contacted the organisations that did not put the application in on time to say, hey, is there, you can put it in for discretionary response fund. So when we make recommendations on projects that normally would be funded under the Strengthening Communities Fund, we apply the similar criteria that we would under the Strengthening Communities Fund. So that's making sure there's consistent funding with other organisations who get the same. It's also to try and encourage these organisations to make sure that they do apply for funding at the Strengthening Communities time, which is the correct one. At the moment, yes, the community board does have funding, but there may come the time when the community board doesn't have discretionary funding. We would hate for some of these organisations to get into the habit of thinking it's okay not to put in the application at the time of Strengthening Communities and at one stage miss out on funding. So that's the other reason why when we make the staff recommendations, we make the recommendations as we would do with the Strengthening Communities Fund.
Thank you. I've got a question from Marie.
So just to confirm, if we do give them the 3,500 now, it doesn't stop them from coming back to us if they need more money and apply for
a different project, but not for the same project that they've applied for already.
Right.
Okay. And I know there's an issue with the it's the Halswell. Is there a Halswell toy library?
No.
Halswell Play Centre one, okay. Halswell Residents Association. So there was a question about that one as well.
Yeah,
and this response is
because we've got to be sort of within the same area, I think.
So I think it's important that we do acknowledge that the costs are increasing for organisations to deliver the same thing. So there are times where we are recommending we match that. The Halswell Residents Association, I think it's about $800 below what they're requesting. You'll see that they do have some funds. So I don't believe that if we didn't fund the whole thing, there would be an impact on what they deliver. And while that increase is a small amount, it is a good time for them to start looking at what other funders they can approach for other sponsorship or fundraising opportunities there might be, before that kind of extra amount grows and grows and grows as the costs grow to deliver your event.
Okay, so if perhaps we could just ask any question on any of the other ones as well. Tyler.
That 62K that's there, is that including the staff recommended amount, or what's in there at the moment before the staff recommendations? What's in there?
Where's the 62K?
Okay. There's an
There should be
outstanding
a figure
balance
what-
remaining of the discretionary fund at the bottom on 1.3.
There should be a figure in there what it will be after the.
So what's the total of all of that stuff, of all of the staff recommendations? I could do the math.
So, yeah, does that come off that figure?
So if you go further down the report, there is a table there that says what the total budget is,
Balance,
what's been granted to date, what's available for application, and what will be balance. It will roll the discretionary response fund over into the 23-24 year. So that amount, or whatever amount you don't allocate, will roll over into there, and that will provide some funds to bridge the board through until August the 17th, August the 10th, when the board is doing the Strengthening Communities Fund allocations, and when the next year's discretionary comes out of that process. So it gives some scope there if there are some applications that come in the meantime to be able to be funded. And there is one sitting in there right now that will probably go to the meeting. So there's possibly a very good chance that there will be some others that come in, and it allows those organisations with projects to be able to be funded.
There absolutely will be. So there's 29K left for 3 months worth of discretionary fund applications.
Which is very generous.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other questions? So in terms of the 3,500 moving to 5,000, is there a sort of 4,000 level mark that you'd be comfortable with, or?
Well, the reason I looked at 5,000 is that they've asked for just over $10,000. I think if we can get to nearly halfway on that, that should give them that little bit of assurance that we as a board believe in what they're doing, and that they're covered enough into the new year to continue on.
So you're wanting to hold it at 5,000?
If I could put it at 5,000.
Debbie?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was originally thinking of supporting that as well, but I think that the staff have explained the reasoning why, and that they have been funded on a regular basis, and they have got other streams, and they're not going to be jeopardised by having this figure. So I'm in support of that, or a happy medium at say 4.
A sort of medium at 4,000 or something like that, rather. Yeah.
I think these guys have.
I mean, if you want to shift it to 4,000, we can put that.
Have you moved 5?
You might 5, but
So
if they
we're
both
looking for
change, if you both change to 4, I think it could get through. It's up to you.
I mean, and the other thing is, I don't want to see them having to come back. I think that's a waste of staff time, a waste of their time, and it's better just look. We do it now, they get more likely what they need to be able to move forward. And
I think also these guys are facing a fairly uncertain future as to where they're going to live, and I think we need to. If we can, to be able to give us some guarantee that we're actually on their side.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Can I just put in, been advised by staff, I'm looking for a seconder. Mark's moved 5,000.
I'll second that.
Thank seconding it, thank you. So we're opening it up now for, in fact, debate. I just want to talk to Andre. Which one were you keen to shift upwards, Andre, again? It was a Hawthorn one, wasn't it?
Halswell Toy Library.
Not sure if he's there.
He's not there.
Yes, no, I'm certainly here. So the ones that are sent to you were Halswell Play Centre from 3 to 3,500, and for the Anzac Day commemorations, the full amount.
Full amount. And for the first one that you mentioned, I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Halswell Play Centre
Play Centre to 4,000.
to 3,500.
3,500.
Can I?
Yeah, so Andre's potentially moving that 3,500. And
Oh, I'm moving that.
But we need to deal with this motion.
Yes, I
on the
know, but
table.
it gives us a sense of if we're going to 3,500.
Can I just point out? I mean, I had a discussion with Marie earlier today about because I was, as you know, from my email requesting the full amount also. But I understand further from what isn't in the report is that there are some things that have been itemised that aren't, correct me if I'm wrong, aren't coverable under this. And that's why they've given, correct me if I'm wrong.
What were you talking about? No, so the Hawthorn Residents Association initially had other stuff in the application, but I removed it. So the total, so the total of them requested everything in the current application.
Apologies to be able to realise.
All right. Okay. Well, then I'm in support of the full amount also.
So
we need to deal with
technically, I just want to check. You're going to go with Andre the full amount to the Lions Club, which is about another 180,000. It's $180.
You mean Andre's going with me?
Or Andre with you, either of you. So you're wanting to lift that potentially.
Yeah, well, that was what my email was when I sent out a few days ago, and I was asking for responses.
And then the other issue, the other one is the Halswell Play Centre. Is anyone are you wanting to shift that at all?
So my email, Helen, was to 3,500.
Yeah, Andre just said 3,500.
I'm trying to get a sense of which. So those are the only three where we're going to move.
Can I ask Andre why 3,500?
Yeah.
Cost increases certainly for them, and they put a huge amount of work into getting other sources of funding as well. They're always fundraising for different bits and bobs and putting the work in. Yeah.
Can I ask the staff on that one then why that wasn't increased?
Well, yes, sure, ask them. That's why the staff are here, and then Tyler.
So to make it easier for everyone, maybe you can put up the proposed amendments and then the seconded and moved motions so everyone can see. And then we vote on it line by line. Does that make sense?
We can too, but at the moment, we've only got two passed and one motion on the table.
Yeah, which is Andre's.
Basically, we need to get a sense.
No, it's Mark's one.
But excuse me, the toy library, which we talked a little bit with the Halswell Play Centre. We're going to have to be fair, if you like. So
I emailed my amendments earlier today, and I'm still moving them. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a mover and Andre seconded.
No, a motion on the table.
No, it's not formal, Faye, but we're going to get one for 3,500 for the Halswell Play Centre, and then we're going to probably.
I thought we were talking about Hornby Toy Library.
We're talking about Mark's one first.
Yes, I know technically, but we need to get a sense because you're balancing things up. Mark's moving 5,000. The Halswell Play Centre's potentially going to 3,500, and the Lions Club will get its full amount.
But before we do that, we need to hear from the staff as to why it wasn't a higher figure.
That's incorrect. Before we need to move.
But so, I mean,
Mark's need to fail. Mark's motion needs to fail before we can move on.
That's right. Yes.
Or pass. But what I mean, I thought there was going to be a middle ground here. I thought there was 4,000 on the table.
Well, that's if you're looking at it across the board, you have to be reasonably fair.
In total, there's about a $3,000 increase. Is why Helen is trying to get this right.
Yes, I'm just trying to say these are the increases.
That was moved and seconded, so you need to honour that.
Yes,
and then you guys can move on with the rest of the
standing ones. Where that was, the Halswell Play Centre is going up $500 and the Lions Club up $180.
Can I make an amendment to, what's it called? Amendment to Mark's?
Yes, if you want.
That has to go through discussion.
No, so we'll keep with the Hornby Toy Library. It's moved, it goes to 5,000. if anyone wants to
Who seconded?
move
Can I
an amendment.
make an amendment?
Then you can
No,
ask.
no,
you
you
ask them
can't
to.
move well, you can move an amendment. Sorry, it's only a move.
As per your suggestion earlier, I mean, and weighting up what the staff have already said as to why not, I'd be happy to introduce an amendment of 4,000.
I'm happy. I'm happy
Well, Mark
to
can
actually
get
second
it.
that.
Shall we revise ours down to 4,000?
Yeah.
4.5.
Yes.
4.5.
Take it or leave it.
4,250. 4,250 going.
Go on it. Yeah, yeah.
4,250?
4,250, guys.
Okay, 4,250 it is.
I'll actually second that.
You two now are moving and seconding 4,000.
4,250.
4,250.
Let's get a bit vague. Okay. So I'm going to move that. So we're moving that the Hornby Toy Library receives 4,250 towards its running costs.
Yep.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Team.
Next one is the Horsell Play Centre. We've got Andre moved that it's going to 3,500. Is that correct, Andre?
That's correct.
Happy second.
Seconded, Debbie. Anyone?
Oh, no, I didn't second that. What I want to do is,
Okay.
and I
I'll second it and then we'll ask the staff. Good.
yeah, if we can ask the staff as to why it wasn't increased. Thank you. Thank you. So we can make a more
National
informed
decision.
Okay, so the Horsell Play Centre application is, they have not, their total cost for what they are asking for in this application is no different to what they asked for last year. So while their overall running costs may have increased, in this application, they're saying their rent is 8,800, which is the same as last year. And so our recommendation aligns with what we have given them last year. They also have increased enrolment, which means they do have some more income coming in, and the MOE funding is increased from what they received last year. So that is why the recommendation aligns with what they were given last year.
Yeah. So debate on that one?
Well,
I'm relaxed either way.
So just clarifying, the motion 3,500 moved Andre, seconded Helen.
Just to get it on the table.
Yep.
Well, well, given, which is why I asked staff, because I always like to be, fully informed. So given that that was exactly the same figure with exactly the same rent, I support staff's recommendation.
Okay. Does the person want to speak? Andre, if you'd like to speak to it.
Well, they've asked for 4, and last year they had 3, but they have asked for 4. This is simply meeting in the middle at 3.5. And what was given last year is 3,000. But that doesn't change what they're asking for, and that there is obviously a need for it.
Thank you. Right, I'm planning to put this. So I'm probably in favour of going with 3,500 too, but I haven't. I'm just seconding it. Yeah. So all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against. Carried.
No, I'm actually opposed on this one simply because, as much as I agree with everything, it was exactly the same rent last year as it is today, and as the staff have highlighted, it's they've got more streams of income coming in. I think what's being asked for is a gesture, and I think in this situation, coming from an accountant-minded background myself, I believe 3,000 is on the dot.
So you want to be noted as against?
You want to?
Do we want to show of hands?
It's already passed, isn't it?
It's passed, yes. But if you want to, if you want to state that.
Can we do what's it called?
Division.
Yeah, I can do it, or put your hands up. Those in favour of 3,500? Okay. Those against? 2. Do you want it noted or not?
Will be noted.
Yeah, I would.
No, those.
No, I don't. Just a show of hands.
Yep.
Simply because everything is exactly the same, and they've got more money coming in.
Okay, so you want your vote against recorded, Debbie? Do
you want it recorded or left?
Recorded.
You want it recorded? Okay.
Yes.
Who's the other person?
You voted against. You want your Supported, Maria. Thank you.
That's fine. Good.
So have we done a division? Are we doing a division?
No, we've showed.
Can I call a division, please?
If you want to, yes. Thank you. Okay. So, Tyler?
Yes.
Yes. Hank?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Debbie?
Right.
Gamal?
In favour.
Yes. You're voting?
Yes.
Sarah? Marie? No. And I'm yes.
And Andre's yes. Together, Andre.
Mark is correct. Mark is quite correct.
Andre, yes.
Can't forget Andre.
Okay, so that's carried, thank you. Now one that's 3,000, number 5, to the Halswell Residents Association.
Well, we've requested that go up. The discussion I had today earlier with Marie, we thought that there were some elements on there that weren't coverable, but that has been removed from the report. So I'm in favour, as per my email a few days ago, I was recommending the full amount.
Of 3,000.
3,895.
The full amount. So you're moving an amendment.
So what?
Well, it
It's
hasn't been
currently
moved.
3,000.
I'm
moving.
I'm moving.
You're moving. And you're moving.
3895.
An amendment to 3895, you're correct.
Andre, you'll be second that, won't you?
No, it's not an amendment. It hasn't been moved yet. So you are moving 3895. Debbie.
Correct.
Looking for a seconder.
Yes.
Yep.
And Andre, we're hearing you were going to second that, weren't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. So do I have a seconder for that?
Andre.
Andre.
Yes, Andre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Debate on that. Okay. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? I'm probably. Anyway, can I have him pick a show of hands?
I'll abstain from this one.
You'll abstain. So 1, 2, 1.
You don't need to record it.
Yeah,
One
abstain.
passed. Yeah, it's passed. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. Now the 1,500 to the Hornby Good Companions Club.
Yeah.
Bus trip project.
Happy to move.
Having moved, seconder Sarah.
Debbie.
Good. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against carried.
Was that Mark and Sarah?
Yep.
Yes.
No, it was Mark.
Approved $800
Sarah's got it.
7 to the
Hey,
Hornby
did you have a
Sarah will do.
towards
She's Hornby.
volunteer recognition. Do you want to move that, Hank?
Yeah, Mark, I can move.
Mark,
Yep.
second.
Yep.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against carried. Approve a grant of 3,000 to the Lions Club of
Move.
District. Move, seconded.
Second.
Marie. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Approve a grant of 1,000 to St Mark's Retired
Move.
Fellowship. Move.
Second.
Debbie, second. Gamal. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against carried. And approve a grant of 2,000 to the discretionary response fund to the Youth Development Fund. So we're short on youth development. It's moving it across. Moved Mark, second to Sarah. No problems there, I presume. All those in favour say aye. Against
Just use the
carried.
fund.
Now, staff, do you have any comments you kindly wish to make at all?
Where is it?
I think I missed one of the movers. and seconders. So Gamal moved one. And
It's not on there, is it?
seconded, and it was moved by.
It's on the resolution.
Debbie.
St Mark's
Thank you.
Retired Fund.
Mark can say.
Sarah, I think, second.
No, no. Motion by Debbie, second. by-
Thank you very much.
Good work, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we'll go on to the area report. And I've accepted an amendment from either Tyler or Andre to go in under the housing and business choice plan. Who's moving it and who's?
Oh, I didn't even amend it. It was Andre, but I'm happy to second it.
Yeah, and I put in, you've got in that clause that's noted in the, because I'm happy to accept it if you put down the first comment as noted in the press of 25th March.
Appropriate for two councillors to be amending that PC 14.
He's not there.
Sorry, it's not amending any submission. It's amending purely the area report.
That's right, yes, area reports, and I'm accepting it on the grounds that you're putting in a note after the first paragraph, as noted in the press, 25th of March. Because you're quoting directly from there.
Helen, Mark's got a question.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear what Andre's saying, that it's not actually amending the submission, but I'm feeling it's getting a bit close to the councillors who are making the final decision.
I did raise here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just weary of your safety there, Andre and Tyler, that's all. I want to make sure that there's not some conflict arising by making a statement in this.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, we have to vote on an area report anyway, as it is, and otherwise we would have been advised that we're not allowed to vote on the board report itself, if you know what I mean.
Yes. I mean, are you happy to put in as noted in the press 25th of March? I think we agreed on that on the phone.
That's correct, 25th of May.
Yes, that's fine. So as long as that's there, I think it's a statement from what's in the press, and then there's a statement that the board is aware or supports the need for further housing.
So if I can just clarify, Andre is moving that the area report, one, the area report be received, two, the board notes that approximately 1,500 people are in transitional and emergency housing in Greater Christchurch, including 723 children. More than 700 children wake up homeless in Christchurch motels every day and are likely to be without a proper home for 6 months, according to data collected by housing providers and reported in the press on the 25th of May.
March, because that's a direct quote from the press.
2023.
And it's probably, it's likely to be true.
Is that right, Andre? Is that what you're moving?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yep, and it's Andre and Tyler.
And Tyler. Yeah.
So I need to understand what
it's a bit unusual.
What can you explain it to me, please, in layman's terms?
Well, I guess they're making a statement that, and I think it's probably, I tend to agree that they can do it. They're making a statement that in the press it noted that there was a lot of housing shortage, if you like, and people are in motels and cars, which is true. And I think everyone feels concerned about that.
Good shot.
And then the board acknowledges the housing supply does need to increase due to a current shortfall. I think that's true. It's got to increase. I think the only difference we have is how it's done, basically. So, so I think it's just noting it. Tyler and Andre are supporting it. I don't have any problems with it.
I don't see what the amendment is. I've got Andre's email here.
It's a note within the minutes that will be contained.
Oh,
yeah. So it's not changing anything. It's just adding something.
Oh,
the staff recommendation currently is to receive the area report.
Yeah.
And what's being proposed is that the board receive the area report and notes that statement there and acknowledges. So there'll be 1, 2, 3 to the
No one debates.
It's not affecting the submission.
And I think we all acknowledge this. I mean, the press indicated it. I believe it's true.
And we can all agree that housing needs to be done right.
The housing is, I mean, we need more housing.
But it's also good to put out an article
so
that
it's not really
states the need for housing for everyone, including our young people.
So it's not an amendment, it's an addition.
It's just
noting.
It's just the board.
That's what was confusing.
Noting the first article.
The following amendment. Okay, that's what's confusing. That's an addition.
Sorry, he was talking about, I think, an amendment to the staff recommendation, but what he's actually just moved it.
He's just addition.
Yeah.
Just whatever's the easiest process.
That's fine. Sorry, Andre. I'm all good now.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's a comment which is correct. There's a housing shortage. I tend to think it's from the state housing area, but it's probably true across the board. So, I mean, I think it's fine to have it.
Thank you.
We just need to vote on it.
To add to that, I've had a meeting today in Hornby with someone who's extremely concerned about homeless people. And we do have a problem with it.
Yes.
Tyler, I believe we've got a meeting tomorrow. We're lining up to go and see Linda. So we do agree there is a problem and we're going to try and find a way to fix it.
Yes,
I mean, I know.
Particularly that Loafers Lodge was particularly highlighted that in Wellington.
Yep.
So
I mean,
it's Christchurch, I presume, too.
We've got some crises here in our own patch.
we've got we hear all these stories. I know of a grown woman who's having to couch surf. She's got incredibly bad health situations and no emergency housing. So we don't question that at all. So yeah, no, happy to run with that.
Okay, that's great.
Thanks.
So I'm moving that as in addition.
Resolution this evening.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. And do you want to talk to the board report? The area?
No, you've received it.
I've received it. Okay. You happy with that? Good.
Good work, Jess.
Now, just a few things, sort of elected members exchange. I've got a few things I do want to go over if we have time, but Marie also wants to tune in at 7 o'clock to the National Community Board
if anybody wants to.
Does anyone else want to stay here and do that? Just,
I've got another meeting.
Okay, so if yourself, that's fine. She can tackle that apparently. I've checked with her, she can do it technically. So we'll go now to elected members exchange, and I might try and grab 10 minutes at the end before 7 o'clock for some things I just want to talk about offline. So elected members exchange, please indicate whether you're wanting any action on it so that we get that clear.
I've got 1 for info and 2 for action.
Good, thank you. Yes, good.
So
start, off we go.
Well, for info, I understand from Marie that this scholarship to participate in Leaders in Community Incubator for 2023-24, that the board staff had recommended 8 community leaders to apply for this one. Apparently 6 did apply, come back to them and apply, and all 6 got in. And one of them was Mark Duff. So it's a good selection of community leaders. And I promised Mark that I will pass on his gratitude to community board staff. We're working with them on the applications.
Oh, that's great.
He's very grateful for community board staff. So that one. 2 for action. I've got 1 constituent. There was some concern about flooding along Ensign Road in front of the Halswell Health Medical Center. There was a few weeks ago that there was rain was really pouring, and then there was flooding. And I mean, I had the understanding that lots of flooding always happens there. They're just requesting if that can be looked into by staff and let them know what the issues are and if it can be fixed. So if we can pass it on to staff.
Can I please add to that, Marie?
Yes,
so,
of course.
So last year, for example, when we had a huge amount of flooding, a lot of it was along Ensign Street. My understanding, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that each time there was a call out to Ensign Street around the flooding, it was a matter of block gutters. So they unblocked the gutters, everything drained. So as part of asking for advice, I think what also needs to be mentioned is the street sweeping schedule. It seems to me like the street sweeping schedule on Ensign Street is simply not frequent enough, hence it keeps flooding over winter.
Yeah. And it's got deep channels, hasn't it?
Yeah,
deep channels.
As I say, I could be wrong, but my understanding is that flooding is pretty much purely down to gutters being blocked at the time. So
yes, thank you, Andre. And they're also very much concerned about their patients in the medical center coming in and out in that floods. Yep. And then the second one I've got was constituent also very much concerned with the growth in Halswell, lots of new subdivisions and new houses, and there are no buses in their areas. So the public transport is an issue in growing Halswell, and they even have like at least a 30-minute walk to the nearest bus stop. And if the people are like as short as I am with shorter strides at that time, will take double to take to reach a bus stop.
Okay.
So if we could at least request or advocate to ECAN about this review with the public transport that David Hawk earlier mentioned, that there was supposed to be a review. What has happened to that? And in Halswell? Yep. And yeah,
And perhaps we could have in fact a briefing on it.
So it is coming, and it was supposed to be a year ago. It just comes down to staff shortages at their end and a huge amount leaving. So it is coming as soon as they're able to do it, is my understanding. But it's always good for us to ask for an update. Yeah.
Yes. We'll
So
just
you want
ask
to
that question.
write to ECAN.
Request for an update on
Request update on
the Halswell
pending review. or
review.
upcoming review. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah.
Okay.
Is it worth us also engaging with the ECAN councillors for this area as well? Dion and Craig?
Yes, so.
Well, I think that, sorry to interrupt, David was saying that the Residents Association have already done that with the survey.
I mean, I'm already working with Dion on other matters, so.
Yeah, so the email I got, we had already also forwarded to Dion, to Craig Pauling, and to Vicky, Councillor Vicky Southwood.
Yeah, so we have Dion along to pretty much every residents association meeting, which is really good. And what I've just said is sort of the last update I got from him, but to get an update from the organisation, I think would be best in this case.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone else with information?
Yes.
Debbie, and I've got some. Debbie, Mark, and then me.
Just in action, July last year, I put my request in for yellow lines in Arthur Street, Riccarton.
We've got the report back on that, the area report.
No, they said they were going to be doing a report.
It's
No, it came through.
It was in the area report last time.
Yeah, okay. So when is that coming to us?
Well, I think there was something in.
It was not a TBA on it. That's all. I'm just concerned that it's taking so long. It was July
It
last
was
year.
well covered.
And there's been
in there.
several people contact me about this and the dangers of that corner.
What is it, Deb?
It's yellow lines on Arthur Street, corner of Arthur and.
I think they came back and said no, actually.
No, they haven't said no. On the last, yeah, I'm sure. They said that they're going to be doing a, it's the south side of Arthur Street. What's it name of that street? I should know it off by heart.
Arthur Street.
Perhaps if we just find
Hanson's Lane. Hanson's Lane. So
Hanson's Lane,
there's a couple of yellow lines, but it doesn't go far enough. And the line of sight coming in and out. And there's been times when all the cars that are parked there, the tyres have been let down for whatever reason. I can't come to assumptions.
So it was in the area report last meeting, extension of no stopping lines, corner of Hanson's Lane and Arthur Street.
Yeah. Yeah. So what?
At its meeting on.
It's the other one that
Are
came.
you meaning outside here, Deb? Across the road from the Chinese consul?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know it was in the report, but what is the TBA on an outcome?
Staff will update the board on the situation at the main briefing where an alternative proposal.
So
do
we know when that main briefing might be? It's been a long time.
The next board one, I'll just have a quick check because I had a feeling I saw something come through. So staff didn't come to the last briefing because we had Crane or Aura and there wasn't kind of time. But other than that, they're planning to come to every briefing.
Well, perhaps if we can find a
Yeah,
date.
if we're able to, perhaps.
I know, it's the other road, I'm thinking, Acacia Avenue, Middleton Grange, one they said no on. So I've got
What we
that
can do is confirm the new date for that briefing.
That would be wonderful.
I'm happy to follow that up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Anything else, other issue? Mark and myself.
There's only one for me.
And Tyler, thank you.
Yeah, just following up on the bus stop that we approved on Amy's Road and where that's got to. Because we would ask staff again to revisit that. And I'm surprised we haven't seen anything back. So could we have some advice as to where that's at before it gets constructed?
I think
Because the
so.
seat is still where,
I think it's been approved and I think
yeah, I know it's been approved, but we'd asked that that be revisited.
and they agreed to go out and shift the structure within the box, so to speak.
Yep.
The seat and that, and I think that's what they've done.
Well, the seat's still where it used to be. It hasn't moved. And
Oh,
the residents there have met with myself. They've also met with Andrew Hensley on site.
Mm.
And I'd requested through email that we have this revisited, and there's been nothing back. So I'm just wondering where that's at.
yeah, I think we put it down for our
I'll speak to
briefing.
Andrew about that. Andrew, yeah.
Because we want to make sure that these residents who are right there are not going to be surprised why suddenly the bus stop goes in where we'd approved it before we actually get a chance to revisit it.
Thank you. And Tyler, you've got an issue.
Yeah, there was this one bit of works on Dallas Street that a resident came to me about. He said that that the road got resurfaced and then it got dug up, and then they did 3 waters about 6 weeks later. So it was a bit back to front. I did put a request to Officer of the CE to get some clarification, but I'm just flagging that just in case.
Thank you.
It sets a precedent. It's on Dallas Street. So I did get an update of works on Dallas Street, but to his belief, he believed that the road got resurfaced and the deep dish channels were still there, and I thought we were actually phasing them out.
Yes,
So I'd like some clarification on that, if possible, Faye. I did put a request to Office of the CE, but I think it's a bigger ward-wide issue if it's setting a precedent for the rest of the works around Riccarton.
Okay, thank you. I've just got if I can just move on, I've got a few things I'd like to discuss with you as a group. We talked a while ago about having drinks after. Oh, he's out for the meeting, doesn't it? Yes. What I've got in the meeting, Marie and I went to the Chairs Forum this morning, and there's better off funding coming through to each board. Quite a lot of money over 3 years. And so something like that park bench, I think, even if we can't do it through our current funding, we can do it through better off funding.
And also food, I believe, is suggested, even the men's shed. And when often we think of a shed being the size of a shed in your little back garden, but it's not. They're huge hangers, and they've got incredible tools. I've been there and I've actually used them, and they're amazing.
Yes.
So I'm sure they would love to come on board with us.
So my plan is to speak with them. When I was at Somerset last week, there's a number of Somerset residents who are at the men's shed as well, coincidentally. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on a council
And
property, so it needs permission.
The other issue is I met with Gamal and Andrew and 2 other staff members outside the mosque a couple of Fridays ago, and we looked at a pedestrian crossing, and the favourite option would be to use the one they have in Waimari Road, where you just press it, have traffic lights and press a buzzer and it stops if there's someone there. I heard today at the meeting when we brought it up that it's got very expensive, so the staff are going away to in fact look at that. That's probably all I've got at this stage, other than the quarterly report you want to comment on. You're going to do a quarterly report?
Yeah, so based on the approved board plan and your key priorities, I'll send through a quarterly report so staff can update how the actions are tracking, so you get better visibility on how that's going.
Thank you. And so I just want to discuss a couple of small issues.
Yeah, sorry. Just coming to the DMZ. No, I was just wanting to ask, because I've been trying to work on that DMZ crossing for ages.
Conclude the meeting and have an offline discussion. So
yeah, it's just about the crossing.
Okay, good.
So I've been working with staff on that quite a lot, and I've been asking about things. I'm just wondering, is that coming out of the craft funding? Yes. Or is
yes, it is.
That's all. That's my question.
But I'm not sure that they had the traffic lights there.
No.
And having been down there, it seems to me it needs traffic lights.
It's going to be a tough one.
A tough one, I know.
Yeah.
I know. But look, it's really busy.
A kid nearly got hit the other month.
Yeah, I know. So it's really, I mean, I was surprised how much traffic was there.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll conclude the formal meeting with.
I've still got my elected members exchange as well.
Can I just ask one
Yes.
point of clarification around the Better Off funding? Is there a process that we as a board are going to workshop around?
Yes.
Is that
Definitely.
coming.
Yes, and I can think of lots of projects.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. They can spring to mind. Okay, so look,
Andre has some.
Andre, sorry, Andre. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just information. I took the mayor on a tour around Halswell the other day to point out a number of issues, which was really good. Showed him mostly infrastructure challenges that we've got. The action points on after. Now, a way to cross Sabies Road. Now, I was going to put a notice of motion through 2 years ago, but I was talked out of it because we were told by the school team that something's on the way. But we're 2 years later, I'm none the wiser as to when there will be a way to cross Sabies Road. So I'm probably just going to redo that motion. But if it's possible to get an update from the schools team, that would be really good. There's some work being done around Sabies Road as we speak, and that work is related to many more homes going in the area. And that's many more homes with families who will have no way whatsoever to cross a wide, extremely busy main thoroughfare road to get to school. As for why crossing isn't a requirement with these new developments being built, I have absolutely no idea, but it's pretty shocking. So yeah, if we could get an update on that, that will be good. Next one is Murphy's Road. It would be good to have some speed surveys done on Murphy's Road. It is used as a main thoroughfare. There is a school there as well. I see here the last speed survey wasn't done for a couple of years, so it would be good for us to understand what the speeding issues are along there, particularly when we're doing things like the Safe Speed neighbourhoods. So that is a request, looking for new speed surveys along Murphy's Road. And last but not least, the length of grass at Halswell Domain is unplayable for our clubs at Halswell Domain. It's been an issue actually for a number of years. Just the frequency of mowing at Halswell Domain is insufficient. So people trying to play football cannot properly play football on the grass because it's not cut often enough.
It's interesting, if I can just add there, Andre, it's interesting you say that, because after the outcry on Facebook regarding that, I sent through an email to staff, and then they've sent me a completed. They said that it had been completed. So you're saying it hasn't been done?
Or it's I couldn't tell you exactly when the last time they were mowed is, but it's the same thing. So for the last, I think, 3 or so months, I've sent through a couple of service requests. But it being completed once, it's of course the grass is going to grow back, and it's not on a high enough frequency, of course. And it's been an issue for a number of years as well.
And it's a top club too, So they host a lot. Are we wanting an action on that, Andre?
Yeah, we need to know what the frequency is, and it needs to be increased, basically. Yeah, it's becoming really frustrating for the clubs. Like for clubs trying to use
soccer and
football club, it's like if the pitch is usable in the first place, because their main pitch really struggles with drainage issues. So sometimes they have to go play at different parks because the domain's flooded out. So if it's not flooded out, the grass isn't mown. So,
and I understand they're also not allowed to mow it themselves.
Yeah. And so they
want to mow it themselves, but they're not allowed to mow it themselves.
No.
I don't quite understand that logic.
We've turned down free labour.
I know.
So we want advice on the mowing schedule for the sports fields on Halswell Domain, and
also
frequency of mowing.
Can I ask also included in that, Faye, why the clubs are not allowed to mow them themselves?
It'll be because it's council land.
No, I know, but we mow our berms, which are council.
I know.
So that kind of doesn't swing. So I would like to have an understanding as to why they can't mow the lawns, the sport field themselves.
Okay, thank you. And if I can bring up an issue, but I think I'll bring it up more in our briefing. I've had a talk to Jeff and Faye, and I'll come to Mark. And we're actually, one of the things I want to do in the next 6 months is get local issues actioned faster. So we'll work on a process of doing that, so you don't get things hanging around for 12 months and still no answer.
Like Arthur
Something like Arthur Street. So I think it's something that's caused a lot of frustration in the past. And one thing I'd like to do is get this operationally faster.
How do you think that might happen when there's a shortage of staff at the other end?
Well, I think we'll work on a process around that. But yeah, we've tentatively agreed on a time frame.
Some form of
and I want to talk it over further with Jess and Faye, but I also think we actually have a list from sort of now on, a kind of clear list, and I have a clear list in front of me too, so that we can see things being actioned or not actioned. Because I think that's where a lot of it's minor frustration, but it builds up basically. And I'd like to get it, see if I can sort it.
And
So
us
I'm
as a
going to
board are
think-
going to have to prioritise as well.
Sorry? Oh, yes,
Us as a board
absolutely.
are going to have to prioritise and say, actually, this is a priority. Actually, this isn't.
Yes, absolutely.
We are going to have to do that.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. We're not just going to do the first thing on the list if there's a more major issue there. So, Mark, you've got a question or comment, and then I'll ask Tyler to finish the meeting.
Yep.
The first part of the meeting.
Just for information, prior to the meeting, while I was late, I was meeting on site with Minister Megan Woods and the Mayor at 151 Gilbert Hawkes Road, talking through possibilities and where that would like to land for community. So Phil has been updated. And the community was there and were quite clear as to what they're aiming for. So just, I guess, for clarity, that's out there, and Megan is on board and pumping the Mayor to try and get the result we need. And then on that, Megan's electorate secretary spoke to me as I was leaving, and they've acknowledged the Kiwi Rail email I asked for their assistance with, and they've been absolutely snowed under, so they're going to get back to me the next day or two around some visibility onto what's happening with that Kiwi Rail relationship repair.
Okay.
Here's hoping.
Thank you.
Can I have one last?
Marie, sure.
One last. This is the one that Debbie and I were in contact with. In council, there was some time that you approved a 30 speed limit somewhere.
They haven't been approved yet.
Nearly everywhere.
No. So there is a request from a constituent to add new roads onto the.
Yep.
What is the process?
It can't be done. I've already tried, and ultimately it's too late. So there was an area I tried to get added outside Lady Wigham Retirement Village. It was just 30 zone 1 street over. And unfortunately it was decided, no, they won't do that.
The request is on Montserrat Boulevard down to Manarola Road.
I don't, to be honest, when I travel through there 2 or 3 times a day, you can't get to 20 kilometres, let alone 30, which is the bare minimum.
There's a lot of streets like that. The big problem with putting extra streets in now is the consultation is going to be required to have them there. So
we can
do hold these thoughts, because there is a bigger review coming.
We can
there's a second round.
We can certainly still look at it though, Marie.
Thank you.
At the moment, it's school mandate predominantly, and then they went off to submissions, and then they made those additional. So then they closed that, then they're reviewing it, and then they'll go into a second round at some point.
Okay, so we'll look into that.
Second round,
so I'll
Who knows?
Later this year, I think.
include the actual formal meeting, and Tyler, if we stand.
Sure, you guys can say something if you like this one.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Well, nothing will stand.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no worries.
On the screen.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's okay to sit?
Yeah, well, it's each to their own, but it's actually quite respectful. Thanks, Helen.
Okay.
Unihia ki te urutapu nui. Kia wātia kia mahamati nā kau. Te tinana te wairua I te ara takata, koia e rongo, whakairia ake ki runga, kia tina, haumie, huie, tae. Kia ora.
Kia ora. So if you could stay for another 5 minutes. Thank you for coming.